by Kate Fletcher. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made these little embellishments down here. It's a really fun technique to do. It's really easy, and you can make quite a lot of different things using this technique. So you can like make keychains, you can make danglies, you can do embellishments like I have. There's so much you can actually do. So I'm just going to move these out of the way really quickly. And what I'm going to be using is the shrink plastic that Beebeecrafts really kindly sent me. If you've missed any of the previous videos, I will put all the links in the description box to this video. I'll put the link for the shrink plastic in there. I'll put the link to Beebeecrafts website, and I'll also put the YouTube affiliate link up, because they've put a call out to YouTubers. You only need 100 subscribers and then you can apply to go onto this program. Then they'll send you the products for free and you just do some videos in return. So I have this shrink plastic. I'm just going to show it to you really quick. So it's pretty much an A4 sheet. One side is reflective and shiny and the other side is matte. So when I'm doing colouring or anything like that today, I'll be colouring onto the matte side. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is die cut some stars out of one of these sheets. So I've already cut it down a little bit and I'm going to put my stars on this and die cut it. I'm going to do the die cutting off camera because otherwise my table shakes too much. Okay, so here are the stars that I have just die cut. I've used the two largest ones from the set, and as you can see, these have cut out really nicely. Only needed one pass through. I did do it twice, but really I think it only needed the one through the die cutting machine. I'm just going to move these completely now. For this next part of the video, I'm going to need some tweezers to hold this in place, and I'm going to need my heat tool. I'm going to start with the biggest one, so I'm going to move this one out of the way for a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the star in the middle with the tweezers, and I'm just going to heat it with the gun. I'm going to turn the sound off for this, but I'm going to leave it on regular speed because it's really quick. Now, the one thing I have found is you really need to hold your nerve with this, because it kind of looks like it's going wrong, and actually it's doing what it's supposed to do. You'll see as I do it. So I'm going to turn the sound off and I'm going to start heating, and I'm going to get the gun nice and hot before I apply it to the plastic. Okay, so there is two different stars. We have a quite traditional looking one, and we have a bit of a misshapen Halloweeny type one. What I could have done with this, I could have done two different things. I could have gone in and reheated it and tried to flatten it out, or when I was first finished, if I'd have put a glass over the top, it would have like kept it nice and flat. But I kind of like it like that, to be honest. Now you notice I wasn't using a heatproof mat. That is because this technique will warp your heatproof mat, so that's why I've just used a metal table. And now I'm gonna quickly show you about colouring these in. Now in the next technique I show you, I'm actually going to colour before I shrink the plastic. But with these stars, I don't think it really matters when you colour them. So you can use a lot of different mediums to colour the shrink plastic. You do want to use the matte side when you're colouring and not the shiny side. But I mean, you could just leave a star like that. Look how pretty that is. But yeah, you can use a lot of different mediums. So I've seen people use markers. I'm going to use pencil colours in a minute on the next project I do for you. But for now, I'm going to use my sparkling. So I've actually grabbed out my festive kind of colours. But I could have used anything really. It's only because I'm going to put these on festive embellishment boxes to do some friend mailing, that I'm going with the festive colours. So let's go with glacier cherry or glacier cherry, whatever it's called. We're doing that one first anyway. The only thing I don't think you really want to do with heat shrink plastic is watercolour. I don't think it particularly likes it when you're doing heating and stuff, so just bear that in mind. It's probably, I don't know, it might be okay for afterwards. It's not something I've tried, but certainly when you're going to put a heat tool to it even, it's probably not the best way to go. I have seen, if you haven't got a heat tool, I have seen people put this in their oven. They put it on a baking tray and then put it in the oven. Now I can't remember like the gas marks or the electric mark for it, but it wasn't very long at all in the oven. And it just does the same, it shrinks down. And then you don't have to hold your nerve, because I have to say, when you're using the heat tool, I mean, you saw it all start crinkling up. Like, it took me a few attempts practicing to get this right, because I didn't hold my nerve for long enough. Now, as you saw with this smaller one, it does kind of unfurl itself after it's done scrunching up. But you do have to hold your nerve and wait for the magic to happen. It's a little bit like embossing, you know, when you use embossing powders and you heat it up and then you just see it prettily change. It's a bit like that when you're using the heat plastics. You see it shrink and then you're like, no, I've ruined it. And then you realise, no, I haven't. I've just got to wait just that little bit longer. But in that split second, you're like, oh no, I've ruined it. So when I was working in my last job before I had Philippa, one of the things I used to have to do till pretty much I got pregnant was I used to have to use an industrial type heat shrink plastic. And I had an industrial style heat tool, which was basically attached to a gas canister, and you lit it and then you would apply it to the plastic, but it was always to wrap a pallet, normally containing like roofing supplies basically. Anyway, it wasn't the easiest thing in the world to master. It certainly wasn't for me. And it was very easy, as I discovered, to set fire to the palette you're supposed to be wrapping. Always went out again. Like, you could stomp it out and blow it out and stuff, but I hated it because, like, I was terrified I was going to torch the building. But it was quite good fun, and everyone just kind of stood back and laughed at me, basically. But yeah, so before the crafting heat shrink plastic came into my life, I was doing it on an even bigger scale. And I can also, here's another bit of random info while I'm colouring this star. I am also a trained forklift driver. I can drive a forklift. Now that is fun, and I did quite enjoy it. I didn't like getting stuff off the high shelves because that was quite scary, but anything else I was fine with. Did run over a broom once, but there you go. It was only a broom, no one was hurt. So there you go, useless information for you, but look how pretty those look now. You see the sparkle, love that. And my slightly warped, I should have done that darker maybe and then sent it to someone for Halloween. I don't really do much Halloween. So I'm just going to clean my paintbrush off and I'm going to move on to the next technique. Now the next technique's actually my favourite, and it involves stamping and heat shrink plastic. So let me tidy all this away and I'll be back to you. Right, so I'm now going to show you how to make this one here, if I get it to focus. This is my favourite technique to do, and I think this looks so cute and makes the loveliest embellishment. So for this technique we are going to need a stamping platform and StazOn ink. This is the best one I have found for this technique. I'm not sure what other ones work. I don't think Memento will work too well. This, because it's like a solvent ink pad, it doesn't like have any adverse reactions to the heat tool or anything. So if you want to try this, definitely use StazOn. Okay, so I have another piece of the heat shrink plastic, which I'm now going to put in my stamping press. Again, I'm putting the shiny side down like so. Now to do this, you don't want a fussy stamp, so you don't want anything with loads and loads of detail, but you want a fairly large one. So I'm using this poinsettia here. This came with the most recent edition of Creative Stamping magazine. This video, I'm aiming to have it up on Thursday. That is the day that Creative Stamping goes on sale in the UK, but because I'm a subscriber to it, I do get mine slightly earlier, hence I could pre-record this video. So as you can see, I've put the stamp in the corner there, and now I'm going to ink it up using my StazOn ink. Get a really good covering and whack that lid on quick. Right, and now I'm just going to close the lid and hold it down over the top of the plastic. Give it a little rub just to make sure we are getting a good pressure. Well, I'm just going to hold it in place for a little bit and just let that ink soak from the stamp into the shrink plastic. Now when I colour this in, I'm going to be using just regular pencil crayons. They're nothing special, just regular pencil crayons. when you're colouring, it's best to try and use either pastel colours or light colours, because if you do loads of dark colours, it's just going to look black when you have shrunk this, because this shrinks, I think it shrinks to like something like 7 times smaller. I might not have got that like 100% right, but it really shrinks up. So let's have a look. Right, I'm happy with that. I'm just going to clean this stamp off. So I'm also not going to do loads and loads of like shading and blending, because it just will get lost really. So let's move those. Okay. So there's the image, as you can see. What I'm going to do now, really quickly, I've got just 3 colours. I've got a red, a green and a yellow. I am going to colour this on camera, but I'm going to speed it up because I know some people like to watch colouring and find it relaxing or whatever. But I'm just going to do this really quickly for you. So I'll bring the camera back to regular speed when I'm done. Okay, so as you can see, that's now all coloured in. So now all I need to do is fussy cut this out, and then I can start the shrinking process. So if you don't like fussy cutting and you had a die, so if you had like a matching large stamp and die set, you could probably just colour it and then cut it using your die. But that's why I kind of used this particular stamp, because it was large enough to work for this technique, but it's also fairly easy because of the way the leaves are placed. It's fairly easy to cut it out, because I'm not like a massive fan of fussy cutting. I kind of go through phases of it, to be honest. But like, once you've shrunk the plastic down, it does kind of go quite hard. It's a funny old texture, I have to say, once you're completely finished. But I just think this makes such a lovely tiny little embellishment, and you don't have to use it just for an embellishment box. You could use it on cards, gift boxes, you could put it on a tag. I mean, if you before you shrink it, if you punched a hole through one of the leaves, you could easily make this into a tag on its own. But this is definitely my favourite technique. So I'm nearly there. And like, you could make keychains and give them out as Christmas gifts. There you go. Especially if you've got a large family, or you're doing like a Secret Santa type thing. Anyway, there is my coloured in image. So once again, I'm going to hold it with my tweezers and I am going to shrink it. So I'll turn the volume off and just shrink it on film. jumped back out again when it was done. Well, it's quite hot, so I can't really pick it up just yet. If I really wanted to flatten it out, I could put a gloss or something over the top. But I'm just going to leave it there just for a second to cool off. But I'll bring these back in so you can see them. Where's the other ones? Okay, that's today's one. Okay, so that's now cooled down. They do cool down quite quick, but look at that. Isn't that beautiful? How lovely will they look just on embellishment boxes? And then you've got the stars with all their glitter. Look at that. They are so pretty. And it's such good fun to do. So that is 2 different ways to use heat shrink plastic. I might well do more videos on using heat shrink plastic because there's other things you can do as well. I just wanted to do a really quick video to show you. Definitely my favourite way is the stamping way. But just because Christmas is coming, I thought I'd have a go with the stars as well. But there's so many different things you can do. I could literally be here for hours talking, showing you. It's amazing, so please do have a go because it is such good fun, melting the plastic and watching it form and jump around. As I said before, I will leave all the links in the description box of this video. You do get a load in here, so it's really good value for money. And if you're wanting to join up to the YouTuber scheme, the link will be also in the description box. So thank you very much for watching today. Thank you to Beebeecrafts for giving me the opportunity to use these amazing products and do these videos for you. I've absolutely loved it, and I hope you all like what I have created. I will be back soon with more videos, but for today that is all. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.